Columbia, Houston, good morning. Jim, that one was for you. That was Tanya Evitz-Weimer singing Floating in the Bathtub. I don't think we can add much to that. I think it pretty much says it all. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Dan, and thanks to Mary Lee and the kids. Mike and I are getting up and we're going to be ready to go here pretty quick. Thanks.
And I'd like to say that as the Orbit 3 team hands over to Orbit 1, we would just like to pass on these words. Remember, go slow like Joe LaPiccolo. And for Jim and Mike, have a great EVA. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Dan.
And you can see that the telescope has begun its rotation to present the port solar array to the front of Columbia's cargo bay, setting the stage for its replacement in the early morning hours Tuesday, just a few hours from now, by Jim Newman and Mike Massimino. Again, they have begun to climb into their suits. Their suits have been checked out. Newman designated as EV3, Massimino as EV4. Again, Newman will be wearing the suit bearing the broken horizontal red stripes. Massimino bearing the suit with the barber pole red stripes.
And Digger, we're on the middeck with Jim and company.
Welcome aboard.
Downlink television from the middeck of Columbia showing Jim Newman, a veteran spacewalker, again about to embark on his 5th spacewalk in his career. John Grunsfeld is ducking into the airlock of Columbia. Grunsfeld will tonight serve as the primary intravehicular crew member, or IV crew member. He will be basically the spacewalk choreographer at the aft flight deck of Columbia, making sure that Newman and Mike Massimino are on the timeline, that all of their tasks are moving ahead according to the checklists provided on board. And you're looking at Rick Linnehan, who will be helping Grunsfeld as you see him helping Mike Massimino into his spacesuit. Again, Grunsfeld and Linnehan conducted a very successful 7-hour, 1-minute spacewalk on Monday to replace the starboard solar array on the Hubble Space Telescope with a brand new rigid array. Again, the same procedures will be duplicated this morning by Mike Massimino, who you see in your picture, giving the thumbs up, as well as Jim Newman, who will be working in tandem. Again, Newman will be tethered as the so-called free-floating astronaut, while Massimino rides at the end of the shuttle's robot arm, which will be operated by Nancy Curry. You see the barber pole or candy stripe, broken diagonal red stripes on Massimino's suit. Newman will be wearing the suit bearing the horizontal broken red stripes. Pilot Dwayne Carey up on the flight deck of Columbia as he runs through checklists in preparation for all of the orbiter systems in advance of the start of tonight's spacewalk.
Digger floating high on top of the world there.
Houston, Columbia for EVA. We're soon to start step 66.
Copy, John, 66. Appreciate the update.
And the outer thermal cover now open. The outer hatch of the airlock now swinging open as Jim Newman will be emerging shortly after final suit checks.
Still on the D-ring.
Newman and Massimino now configuring their suit tethers to the proper configuration, both in the airlock so that they can tether themselves properly once they emerge.
Attached to your tether.
First order of business once they're both out in the payload bay, and you now can see Jim Newman beginning to emerge, his head sticking out. He'll emerge basically with his back to the airlock thermal cover, looking right down at the Earth.
Okay, John. Okay, when daily setup, airlock egress, thermal covers open. Jim, egress the airlock. Okay, check my SPU, Mike. Very good. Check my SPU. Okay, I'm going to egress. See anything hanging me up there, Mike?
No, you look nice and clear.
Okay, out we go. Good to be back. Beautiful day for a spacewalk. Okay, John. Jim, you're going up to the starboard sill. Okay, on my way.
Jim Newman out in the open cargo bay of Columbia, beginning the 5th spacewalk of his career.
From the handle.
Ready.
Okay, weight setter is off. And I'm going to slowly move the handle outside.
Ready. Yeah, I have it.
I see you have
On my
it.
left hand.
I'm going to let go. I'm going to stow the waist tether.
Roger.
I'm stowing the waist tether.
This is Mission Control Houston, as Jim Newman sets up tethers by the airlock hatch to Columbia, awaiting the emergence of Mike Massimino.
My waist tether is disconnected from the airlock de-rig.
Engineers at the Space Telescope Operations Control Center at the Goddard Space Flight Center report that work is now underway to turn off all of the solar array drive electronics and the deployment control electronics associated with the port solar array.
Give Mike room enough to come out, or you need me to move?
Mike Massimino now emerging from the airlock to begin the first EVA of his career.
Mike.
Okay,
Looking
I'm
good.
coming out. This is incredible.
Mike, welcome to the wonderful world of spacewalking.
Thank you, John. Why don't you tell me my first task?
Okay, first thing is for you to ingress the MFR, and you'll receive the MFR handle from Jim.
Copy.
When you have a chance, you can just pull on that safety tether. It might reel in a bit more. Wait till you get up on the arm. It's fine now. Go ahead and get up on the arm. Nice slow motion. Thanks, you're doing good.
Thanks.
Can you bring him for the hand?
You see Mike Massimino at the end of the shuttle's robot arm as he is holding the old port solar array wing, which was removed from the Hubble Space Telescope just a few minutes ago. Columbia is currently traveling at an altitude of 360 statute miles, approaching the west coast of Central America.
Here, hold that. Is you ready?
Ready.
How's that, Mike?
Great, Nancy. Thank you.
Driving. One. Two. Pitch down a little bit.
Say again.
Pitch down a little bit. Three. Okay, pitch up a little bit. Four. Good, hold that. Five.
Jim Newman driving a pistol grip tool to soft dock the port solar array to its mounting bracket on the port side of the rigid array carrier at the front of Columbia's cargo bay.
Done.
Copy, and the thermal cover is coming open now.
Massimino is in the process of removing the thermal cover, which houses the new diode box assembly in the rigid array carrier.
The top right one. Three.
That's Jim Newman making his way up the Hubble Space Telescope. Right above Newman is the mounting point for the port array on the Hubble Space Telescope. Those arrays are located essentially just above the aft shroud of the 43.5-foot long observatory.
Copy. And the gate is checked.
Thank you, Mike.
Jim Newman continuing to use his pistol grip tool, a high-tech screwdriver, basically weighs about 32 pounds here on the Earth, to disconnect bolts holding the old diode box assembly along the port side of the Hubble Space Telescope near the receptacle that you see in the upper left-hand portion of your screen, in which the new port solar array, the new rigid array, will be installed a short time from now.
Justin will be pleased to know, for those who come after, that the waveguide behind the diode box is actually labeled fragile. Okay, those are verified.
Okay, Jim, if you can bring a little lower, I've got a hook ready.
Can you put the new one off to your left a little more?
Yeah, but check that gate. Gate's good.
You have it?
I have it.
Slowly off to the right a little more with the old one.
Newman and Massimino swapping out diode box assemblies. This is the component that helps to relay power from the Hubble Space Telescope's solar arrays to the 6 nickel hydrogen batteries in the observatory. This new diode box assembly you see Newman holding and tethering right now is upgraded to accommodate the additional power to be generated from the new rigid solar arrays being installed on Hubble.
Going to remove my tether. I have it. And Nancy, I'm ready for motion down to the no position.
Roger.
Mike Massimino, now holding the old diode box assembly, will be transported back down to the rigid array carrier by robot arm operator Nancy Curry so that it can be stowed for the trip back home.
Connectors inboard.
As Mike Massimino is holding the new rigid solar array for the port side of the Hubble Space Telescope, Jim Newman is at the worksite near the installation port for that solar array. On the ground, this solar array weighs about 640 pounds, each wing does. Once unfurled and locked in place in its open position like the pages of a book, the array is 25 feet long, about 8 feet wide. Each solar array will generate 5,270 watts of power, which is about 600 or so watts more than the old arrays, both of which have now been removed from the Hubble Space Telescope.
Still looking great, Mike.
Okay.
This is the helmet camera for Mike Massimino as he very, very slowly rotates the array to align the mast with the insertion point, the installation point along the body of the Hubble Space Telescope where Jim Newman is waiting.
Hard to tell from here, Mike, but it looks like it might be pitching down just a little. Jim, what do you see? I think it's okay for now. Good, thanks. Given his body orientation, he's pitched forward in the PFR a little bit, so the Mike. You're doing just the right thing. Go ahead and pitch up now, Mike. And I'm pretty sure Nancy's going to bring you more. Well, I'll let them judge it.
Yeah, she's still maneuvering. We have a little bit of yaw to go still.
Slowly, looking at 6. 6 inches, 5, 4. Slowly now, 2, 1. Hey there, we're contacting the soft box. And I do need you to yaw because we're getting the...
What direction?
No, let's try that. It still does need to come to starboard a little bit, but go ahead and wiggle and push forward into the telescope. Keep it coming, they're riding up the ramp.
Newman now using a pistol grip tool beginning to engage the solar array drive assembly clamp to permanently lock that array in place.
One. Okay, I'm going to release them all.
A short time from now, Mike Massimino, at the end of the robot arm, will be maneuvered back down into the payload bay to the rigid array carrier to begin work to permanently clamp the old solar array from the port side of Hubble onto its cargo carrier for the trip back home.
I'm going to turn it.
Mike Massimino now at the rigid array carrier at the end of the shuttle's robot arm, ready to begin work to bolt down all of the latches that will permanently hold the old port solar array from the Hubble Space Telescope in that carrier for the trip back home. Meanwhile, a good view from Jim Newman's helmet camera of the mast, the base of the mast of the newly installed rigid array on the port side of Hubble as he begins to hook up electrical connections.
Houston, Columbia for EVA. Do you like the closeout view?
Affirmative.
8 Bravo.
Now this view from Jim Newman's helmet camera showing the electrical connections between the newly installed rigid solar array and its diode box assembly, looking straight down at the payload bay of Columbia.
Hey, John, I can see those hitch pins you were talking about.
Okay.
Jim Newman is at the body of the Hubble Space Telescope. Mike Massimino on the far right of your screen at the end of the shuttle's robot arm. He is being transported down the length of the rigid array carrier to continue on with the latching of 4 latches that will permanently secure the old solar array from Hubble onto the port bracket in the rigid array carrier.
Maybe 2 turns until the MTL slips.
Okay. So that was a little less than 1 turn on the left one, and I got the slip.
Columbia, Houston, you have a go for panel deploy.
Copy, Houston. We have a go for panel deploy. Houston, Columbia for EVA.
Go ahead.
We show complete with 7-32 and the installation of 2 new powerful solar arrays to bring Hubble into the future.
Roger that, John. We concur, and we're looking forward to having Hubble look further toward the 3-degree Kelvin barrier. Thanks a lot.
7 on the top bolt, John. Okay, it's coming out now.
Good job.
Okay, John, it's clear. And Nancy, I'm ready for motion.
Copy, moving your way. Left on the top.
Affirmative.
Hey, Mike, I see you cleared across.
I agree, Nancy, thanks.
My gate is set. My hand is on. See ya.
Ready to go, Mike?
Just 1 second there.
Okay.
Let me position the RWA.
Roger.
If you want to retry it, that'd be fine. Jim.
I'll be happy.
Thanks.
You can probably see the light, but not the number. .3.0.
Thank you.
No turn.
I saw that.
At the rear of Columbia's cargo bay, Jim Newman is currently stowing and bolting into place on the multi-use lightweight equipment carrier, the old reaction wheel assembly that was removed a few minutes ago by Mike Massimino out of the same bay, Bay 6, that you're looking at on the aft shroud of the Hubble Space Telescope.
Mike and Jim, you guys are doing great. We're right at 5 hours.
Roger.
All stop, man.
All stop.
Let's try it from here. Okay, John, I'm going to very carefully put the lower end in first.
Concur. Looks like it's clear below, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, P1 and P2 are confirmed. In the pouch. Ready for the door to close?
Close the door.
Okay, John, it's in.
Good job, Mike.
Mike Massimino, again, right at Bay 6 of the Hubble Space Telescope underneath the newly installed port solar array for the observatory, preparing to close out the door on Bay 6 and close out the newly installed reaction wheel assembly. one of 4 gyroscopic devices used to maneuver the telescope toward deep space.
Back of this thing, the serial number is heads up. Because if it is, I have it in the right orientation.
Jim Newman holding the blanket insulation in his hand. Mike Massimino is at the end of the shuttle's robot arm, just below base 6 of the Hubble Space Telescope. Jim Newman has retrieved the blanket insulation panel from the second axial carrier in the middle of Columbia's cargo bay, and will be handing it off to Massimino a short time from now. Again, that new insulation panel will provide a greater capability to keep the instruments in Base 6 thermally protected. The Hubble Space Telescope, of course, has been orbiting the Earth for almost 12 years now, and some of its insulation is requiring a bit of a refurbishment, so this is a task of opportunity. It was not required. There was no need to do this had the opportunity not arisen, but since the astronauts continue to run ahead of schedule, time is permitting a couple of extra tasks, including the installation of this blanket panel.
I'm moving away.
Back with downlink television from Columbia. This is a helmet cam view as Mike Massimino continues to work with Jim Newman. Massimino on the, this is Massimino's helmet camera, Jim Newman on the left, as they continue to apply lubricant to the very lower aft shroud door latch. This on the doors within which are housed the NICMOS instrument, the near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, and the Space Telescope imaging spectrograph.
Good job.
Mike Massimino on the end of the shuttle's robotic arm. This view from his helmet camera as he's maneuvered along the payload bay by mission specialist Nancy Curry, who's in the aft flight deck.
You bet, that's fine, and when you do come back around, the extension 0 blue flight 0.
Columbia Houston, reaction wheel assembly functional test is good.
Houston, Columbia, thanks for the words. Did you see it in orbiter rates?
Okay, Don, you ready?
Mike, I am ready.
Looking at the front.
That call telling the crew that the reaction wheel assembly that they installed is working as advertised.
4-inch spring socket. See an MTO. I see, looks like a 2-inch socket. I see, small paddle. I see a large small paddle. I think that's the one we started with.
The port solar array that they installed has also passed its initial tests.
I see a door extension. I see an O tether. The door extension's on an integral tether. I see an O tether on an integral tether.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Live video of the mid-deck of Columbia. John Grunsfeld looking into the airlock. Behind him, Rick Linnehan. In the left-hand corner of your screen is the commander, Scott Altman.
Columbia Houston, FYI, we're getting pretty close to the limit on PP02. If you'd like, you can inhibit hardware caution and warning parameters 34 and 44. We'll take care of the software versions of those, and then we can reset them once we do the maintenance.
Houston, we'll just open up Direct 02. How about that, since OCAC's not required right now?
That'll work, Scooter. Good idea. And dump term in a minute and a half.
Wearing 2 watches to make sure I don't miss it. Okay, Steve, you should be getting something now.
Copy, Digger. We have it on the big screen.
Our operational views during that maneuver might not be exactly what you were looking for. I have a different tape with a different view. Just requested if you want it.
Copy.
Houston, Columbia.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I had this tape queued up. I showed it as next on the priority list. If you give me the MET of what you're looking for, I can get you that tape.
Houston, Columbia, if you're getting the idea that Digger never moves out of his photo TV corner, that's pretty much the truth. And Houston, Columbia, we wanted to show this to show you that our EVA guys don't get enough workout outside. They have to work out inside, too.
Roger that.
Morning, Columbia. That was Carmen, Ohio, played by the Ohio State Marching Band. And Nancy, that was for you from Dave and Stephanie. But lots of folks back in Ohio watching you work that robotics magic. And I guess those helicopter stick and rudder skills are going a long way for you.
morning, Houston, and good morning to all my fellow Buckeyes. And we got lots of Buckeyes working down at JSC helping us out on this flight, and what a great song to wake up to on orbit.
Columbia, Houston, we're aboard with you in the middeck. Looks a little bit crowded down there.
This is Mission Control Houston, a view from the middeck of Columbia, a very crowded scene as the astronauts on board the orbiter, Commander Scott Altman, pilot Dwayne Carey, and mission specialists John Grunsfeld, Nancy Curry, Rick Linnehan, Jim Newman, and Mike Massimino are set for one of the most complex days in spacewalking history. John Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan to emerge from Columbia's airlock into the open payload bay just before 12:30 a.m. Central Time this morning to begin the third of 5 scheduled spacewalks to service the Hubble Space Telescope. Tonight, the very arduous task of disconnecting 36 tiny connectors for a power control unit, the main power routing unit in the Hubble Space Telescope, its removal and the replacement with a brand new unit able to distribute additional power to be generated from the newly installed solar arrays on the telescope, and to be able to generate and maintain electrical continuity for the telescope for the rest of its lifetime.
With just a bit of big picture regarding EVA activity sequencing with the ground here.
Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, John, I just want to let you know we're still down here working towards an on-time egress, and we just wanted to let you know if you think you're going to be more than about 15 minutes or so ahead of the timeline, we'd probably like you to hold at step 66 and delay the fan power on.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. I think it's unlikely. I think we're shooting for an on-time departure.
Okay, we copy, and that'd be great for us.
Okay, thanks.
Again, that call from off-going spacecraft communicator Dan Burbank to John Grunsfeld, who is reviewing his checklists before he suits up and moves into the airlock to join Rick Linnehan, has to do with the coordination and the timing of all the critical commanding tonight from the Space Telescope Operations Control Center at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. The STOC, as it is called, the engineers at the Operations Control Center at Goddard report that the fine guidance electronics have been turned off on the Hubble Space Telescope. We are about 45 minutes away from the first critical commands that will begin the first ever power down of the Hubble Space Telescope. The telescope to be shut down and put in a dormant state for the first time in its history since it was launched back on April 24th, 1990. You see John Grunsfeld on the left, Rick Linnehan on the right. They're all set to go for a spacewalk that is expected to last more than 7 hours in duration. These direct power converters basically route the power from the power control unit itself to all the various systems of the telescope. The powering off of the so-called DPCs will set the stage for the expedited powering down of all of the hardware.
Houston, Columbia for EVA.
Go ahead, Columbia, we're listening.
Okay, as we put on the mini workstations, I'm monitoring John's suit, and there's a large bit of water down here at the bottom of the battery I'm fixing to open up now.
Columbia, we'd like you to cycle the water switch from on to off, please.
That discussion between Flight Director Brian Austin and Jim Newman, who is assisting John Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan in their space suit preparations, refers to some water that basically sublimated out of Grunsfeld's suit at the time that they were conducting the purge of the extravehicular mobility unit or spacesuit that Grunsfeld is wearing. Newman said that they're in the process of cleaning up that water in the airlock of Columbia. The EVA officer here in Mission Control, Dana Weigel, is now discussing with her engineers and her back room what impact, if any, this might have on the spacewalk preparations.
Columbia, Houston for EVA.
Go ahead, Houston.
Scooter, we're going to have to get John out of the suit. And we're working on some resize steps to resize another suit. What we'd like to do right now is go to post EVA. That's on flight sub 9-2, and get John out of the suit with steps 6 through 17 inclusive, and then 23 through 28 inclusive.
And we've got downlink television now from Columbia as you see work underway to mop up some of the water that spilled from John Grunsfeld's spacesuit from the liquid coolant system in that suit.
Not sure how well it'll come across. We had a lot of people with towels in there, but you can see the back of the suit's pretty well saturated.
Roger that, Nancy. And if somebody's available, got some words on suit resizing to get this back on track here.
Okay, Mario, understand we're going to get ICB 2027 from MF43K, Volume D. But they're going to move on to a resize on page 12-21. And that's going to be for the lower arms and the battery. And for the battery steps, we're going to be on page 10-4 in the start block 8, steps 8, 9, and 10.
Good copy, and we're going to want to resize EMU3.
Again, you're watching downlink television of the crew aboard Columbia sopping up water that leaked out of John Grunsfeld's suit about 25 minutes prior to the scheduled start of depressurizing Columbia's airlock for this morning's spacewalk by Grunsfeld and Rick Linnehan to change out the power control unit on the Hubble Space Telescope. Grunsfeld is out of the suit. He is in the process of preparing to climb into a different suit. New batteries will be inserted into the suit. Grunsfeld will have to redo his pre-breathe procedure and the purging of that particular spacesuit prior to the time that he will once again be ready to join Rick Linnehan for the start of the spacewalk. Linnehan remains in the airlock in his suit. No issues regarding Rick Linnehan's suit, but Grunsfeld is moving in to a different spacesuit at the moment, and so our spacewalk has been delayed. Here in the Mission Control Center, the lead EVA officer or spacewalk officer, Dana Weigel, is working on a two-pronged approach to this late development. One being the preparations to get John Grunsfeld in his new suit, and you can see Grunsfeld currently working with Jim Newman down in the middeck along with pilot Dwayne Carey on the left side of your screen to do just that. Also, Weigel is working with her spacewalking engineers to determine whether or not we can still retain all of the objectives planned for this morning's spacewalk. The payloads officer here in Mission Control, Joe Cavallero, is in discussions with Hubble Space Telescope project management at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, to determine the best course of action and the tasks that should be prioritized for this morning's spacewalk. It is still possible that we could press ahead with the power control unit changeout and simply make it a long day for the crew. That's one of the options under discussion at the present time.
Hey, Houston, if you're listening, we've got EMU3 resized for arms. We're going to install the battery and Reba battery at this time.
Okay, I got your block. Okay, the hatch is unlocked. The thermal cover is now open.
The thermal cover, the outer thermal cover on the airlock has been popped open. And the airlock hatch is now being opened. John Grunsfeld will be first out, EV1 wearing the suit bearing the solid red stripes, followed by Rick Linnehan wearing the suit bearing no stripes, the pure white suit. This will be Grunsfeld's fourth spacewalk, all in the servicing of the Hubble Space Telescope, the second spacewalk for Rick Linnehan.
Nice work, John. Here we got it.
Good data reported.
Good data on both suits. You can press with the post-depress procedures and comm check for Rick. How copy?
I read you loud and clear, Mario. How may?
Read you the same.
Okay, I have the safety tether. I'm watching it. Thank you. I'm actually holding on to the Urcum right now. Okay, then I'm going to tuck that into the airlock. Looks good, John. Thank you. And a late but hopefully powerful start. Okay, and Rick, I concur that that looks good.
John Grunsfeld now out in the payload bay of Columbia.
To the starboard slide ladder. Roger that, and I think you both have a couple of good suits now. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jim. Yeah, thanks for all the work in there, guys. That was really quick thinking and work getting all that done.
John, the arm is right behind you, and I've rolled it for you also.
Thank you very much. And also on the ground. I'm tethered to it. The gate is locked. Okay, here it comes. Okay, let me get the top of it. Tell me when you have it. I've got it. Okay, I'm feeding out slow to you, John, and if you could stop there, I'm going to get the waist tether. Okay, thank you. Okay, you have it, John. It's yours. I'm taking it out, and I'm going to store the waist tether up here in the AP. Thank you.
Linnehan handing Grunsfeld a workboard upon which tools will be stowed for use by Linnehan, who will spend the first half of this morning's spacewalk riding at the end of the shuttle's robot arm, while Grunsfeld serves as the so-called free floater, tethered to both the payload bay and the Hubble Space Telescope. He'll be working on a portable work platform on the side of the telescope near Bay 4, where the power control unit is housed.
Okay, good roll to the right if you can. Good, very good. Nicely done. Thank you. Now turn to your left. Get to the arm. Okay, thanks. Very good. Turn towards me. No, I'll get it.
Rick Linnehan on the left, John Grunsfeld on the right, as they configure tethers and tools at the very start of this morning's spacewalk, which began officially at 2:28 a.m. Central Time. We're about 19 minutes into the spacewalk, expected to last at least 7 hours in duration.
Okay.
Downlink television from Columbia showing Rick Linnehan at the end of the shuttle's robot arm, working to complete the demate of the 3 final batteries in Bay 2 of the Hubble Space Telescope. You see that white rectangular object near Linnehan. That is the Wide Field Planetary Camera. Just below it is one of the 3 fixed-head star trackers. That would be fixed-head star tracker number 1. And you're looking at the helmet camera image from Rick Linnehan's helmet-mounted camera.
And I'll get that PGT right now. I think just anything, caller stations or anything will do it.
All 6 batteries now demated on the Hubble Space Telescope.
Okay, I've tapped the handle.
This is a view from John Grunsfeld's helmet-mounted camera.
John, you're right off my boot plate now. Thank you. So, if you want to go ahead with that star tracker, and then I'm going to need to move in to close.
Grunsfeld working near the fixed-head star trackers to complete thermal cover installation.
Okay, Nance, when you feel you have good clearance, I'm ready to go in. And we need to come in about 2 feet to the telescope, please.
Okay, John's kind of blocking my view, so I'll let you call it clearance to your boot plate.
Right now, I see clearance to my boot plate at about 3.5, 4 feet.
Copy.
Zero.
This is Mission Control Houston. External power has now been shut off to the Hubble Space Telescope for the first time since its launch on April 24th, 1990. Hubble is without a heartbeat.
And I believe it's got about 3 feet off my left shoulder.
And you're now looking at the heart of the power control unit in Bay 4 of the Hubble Space Telescope.
we can stop up.
36 connectors to be demated, the first 30 to be accomplished by Rick Linnehan at the end of the robot arm before he swaps places with free-floating spacewalking colleague John Grunsfeld.
Copy and
And
concur.
we
We
can
see
stop all motion.
Grunsfeld will complete the other 6 connector demates, and then will reconnect all 36 connectors to the new unit that will be installed in that same bay.
I'm not sure if it's really helping. Oh, it was for the, yeah, it's for the light shade.
Linnehan has completed the removal of the power distribution unit fuse plugs. They are now stowed properly, allowing him to proceed on with the start of the demate of the 36 connectors. At least he will be involved in the demate of the first 30 of the 36 connectors for the power control unit itself.
Cool. If you could pass me the F5. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. John, I can hand that to you right now if you like. And I assume you just wanted to stay tethered to the... Go ahead. You're going to back away just a little bit for this. Okay, clearance with my bliss. That's okay right now. Okay. I'm trying to lean forward. I'm going to take a tether. Okay, it looks like our retractable back there is not retracting. Okay. Probably just caught on something. Yeah, probably. You can pass me the loop. There it is. You have it, John? Tethered to the camera. Okay, I'm going to take the retractable off. Okay. I think we've tried it several ways. It looks like today, if we could come straight in, we can keep the boot plate flat, and I'll try to get in as close as I can with good clearances on the left and center. Tell me when you're high enough out of the bay. This is good right here. Okay. Now, if we could come, let's first come to my left. Let's try 3 inches. Oh, that's good. Now, let's come straight in, please. And it looks like I have about a foot or more of clearance with the boot plate. Do you agree, John? I would say about 8 inches. That's about a foot right now, getting smaller. The closest is the telescope. Above it is a handrail, and you're still clear of the handrail. Okay, let me steady out. I just looked up there to see my clearance. Well, let me see that, Rick. First loop broke. Roger. I'll try to be gentler. Okay, there you go. That looks a lot better. Well, it's trying to get to the topmost thing, but there's just not enough space around this large cable here. Anyway, P25 is complete. Roger. Starting P27. Roger. P27 complete. Starting P26. Roger, 27. Good job. Thanks. Looks very clean in there. Nancy, you can stop right here. I'm going to stop. Thank you. Okay. Nancy, I'm ready to back out. Port apple complete. Copy, Rick.
Copy. Back it away.
Second, the mast. thing I'd like to mention now, Mike, is that the starboard second from aft and third from aftmost bolts seem to have no torque on them at all. Okay, the bottom of the box should be coming into view. Okay, I see it. I'm going to wait until Nancy's got it.
Yeah, Johnny, happy with that position?
Okay, Nancy, we can stop here.
Okay, the arm is stopped.
Thank you. Okay, you don't have to reach. I have my tether on it, John. Okay. And I have a hand on it, too. Okay, I'm going to slowly move it down. Okay, I have it, John. Okay. I'm going to slowly bring this down. And when I have this in position, I'm going to move the good one up. Okay. Okay, I have it on the plate, and the bolts are all locked in. I'm ready to tighten.
Settings when you're ready.
Go ahead, Mike.
Alpha 3.
Stand by. Alpha 3.
Clockwise 3.
That's in.
10.5.
That's in, Mike.
6 turns on 6 keyway bolts.
Roger that. Starting the...
Oh, it looks like the tail's pitched down a bit, huh?
Yeah. And I see you clearing the door.
Stand by, John.
Copy, John.
1, 2. Hey, Scooter. 3. Hey, so far, so good. 4. 5. 6. Thanks, man, I will. Like 6 1/4 upper left.
Copy 6 1/4 upper left.
Like I still have the 2 bottom ones to do.
Copy. Copy, John.
Welcome back, Rich.
Hey, John.
Okay, Nancy, so take me back in slowly.
Copy.
Mike, P22 pins, sockets are clean.
P22 sockets clean.
MJ17. Last one, John. Take a good look. Is clean?
Columbia, Houston, from all of us here in Houston, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the folks at the stock and in Goddard. Outstanding work in getting that done, both in removal on Rick's part and reattaching on your part. That is some tough work with those gloves on.
you, Mario. We really appreciate those words. John and Rick trained long and hard for this.
The Space Telescope Operations Control Center has just relayed information to the payloads officer here in Mission Control that Hubble has a heartbeat. Telemetry being received back on the Hubble Space Telescope 4 hours and 24 minutes after power was cut to the observatory.
But Jim's not sure. It's your call.
Okay, that's downlink. Thank you. Okay, we're downlinking you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm going 000.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the payload bay of Columbia. Nancy Curry continuing to maneuver the shuttle's robotic arm into position to remain overnight.
Houston, Columbia for HST.
Go ahead, John.
Steve, Rick and I are back in Columbia's cabin now, and I just want to extend my thanks to all the folks on the ground who have allowed us to give Hubble the power to see to the edge of the universe and gave us the great tools to do this EVA. This was a tough one, and I just want to say my hero is Nancy Curry for flying us to all those tough positions to get to all those connectors. Couldn't have done it without her. There go the Intrepid duo out into the void.
Copy.
This video is a replay of events that took place a little bit earlier this morning on the aft flight deck of Columbia during the third spacewalk of this mission.
Complete with the flu, which like a second auto.
Stand by.
Mission Specialist Nancy Curry was operating the shuttle's robotic arm. Pilot Dwayne Carey here in this view.
And Houston, here's an operation that has to be performed at least twice a day.